Finally, it's time to put it all back together. I say finally because it's been about 2 weeks since I was last working on this. I was mostly waiting for this to turn up. So after doing some research online, the only recommended aftermarket piston kit I could find was a company called Meteor. And I don't know if it's the age of the saw or what, but I couldn't find a Meteor piston kit for a Husqvarna 61 anywhere. Well, not anywhere in the UK. I eventually found this one, which came all the way from Greece. And it was held up in customs for some reason. Yeah, Brexit for you. I've also got a full gasket kit, spark plug, because why not, and a new bar and chain. Now, this was by far the most expensive bit. I think the bar was about 50 quid. This was only about 20, about £10 and about 3 quid, and about a tenner for the chain. It's been so long, I can't remember what I did last on it, so I'm just going to start attempting to throw it back together. I'm not going to need that for a while, I will need this. So I'm going to try and drift it in a piece of wood. Slow. So there's a little dowel there and there's one there. So I need to get those to engage. And we'll in our way. There, so we're on the pins now. Almost sealed up there. There is a bit of a gap. And I'm going to just do up the bolts and try pulling that in. Quite tight. So I think this bearing has come in here very slightly and it's binding it up. So I'm just going to, this probably won't work, but by hammering it home this way, what I've done is pushed this bearing here slightly out of its seating, I think, so it's clamping the crankshaft and stopping it spinning quite freely. I mean, it does turn, but not the way it should. That's a bit better, actually. Yes, there we go. Sometimes you can fix things with a hammer. Yeah, that's seating much better. Let's try these again. Yeah. So I'm not tightening those anymore, just so the case hasn't moved together, it's just that it's all shifted that way and loosened up, which is good. I think we're probably there now. I can see that bearing now has actually gone in very slightly. Oh, that's good. I hit it with a hammer and fixed it. Okay, so next I'm going to try and put the new piston on. No idea, I've never heard of Meteor pistons before, so I don't personally know if they're any good or not. But the other aftermarket pistons I found were about half the price, so about a tenner. Yeah, and it just didn't really inspire confidence. The piston is marked with an orientation. What that points to, I don't know. There, that's seated. Then nicely. Okay, so that can go on like that. Go in there. And home. Cool. Let that click home. Whew. That's now in. Before I go any further, I'm going to go and check that I've got the orientation correct. That was easy. Just a quick Google search and a look on some forums, and it turns out that the consensus is the arrow on the piston should always point in the direction of airflow, or in other words towards the exhaust. So I had that right, just by luck. And then the gap in the ring here wants to go the other way, where the air and fuel come in. Next up then, I can get the cylinder on, I think. Now this needs a gasket. This one out the pack I can put on there. I've been avoiding using oil up till now, but I'm going to put a smidge in. And it's going to make it smoke horribly on startup. I think it will just make this seat a bit easier. It's just a little smidgen of 3-in-1. This is spring loaded as well, effectively, isn't it? No. Yes, I should have put this in. I suppose I still could. Right. Let's try those again. So arrow towards the exhaust. Yeah, this is a much easier way around. I see. Right. Well, we're all learning today, or at least I am. I've got the piston ring in upside down, so there's a tiny pin which I hadn't noticed there. Oh, come on. There we go. Something I hadn't noticed before, that tiny little dowel. And you might be able to make out these rings are staggered on the ends. So it's not a square cut. So looking at it like that, it's obvious that the ring's got to go this way up instead. So I'll put that on. And that's why it wasn't sitting in the cylinder. So now that gap can close up completely around that dowel. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to explain something I've learnt on the fly moments ago. So we've got arrow, exhaust, so that's going to go that way round. So what I had read, that if the piston had badly overheated it and left deposits of bits of piston on the inside of the cylinder, I'd have had to clean that off with acid. But I should have shown you, but the inside of this one was actually really clean. Now I can put that in. So little clip in next. That was definitely a much easier way of getting the piston in. I've now got to get the clip in. I don't have room for circlip pliers, I'm just going to poke it in. There we go, oh, that was easy. Good, that's that. Right, now that should be, I should be able to encourage that down onto there. Go on in with it. Yeah, nice and snug. We're in. Ooh. Good. Well, these bolts are for the cylinder head, and I really should have marked them out. Alright, let's try that. Really, that goes down there. Okay, that's that. So that's got to go like that, maybe. Yes. Ah, yeah. I was about to put the oil pump on without putting the feed pipe in. So that should go in there. And leave it be. Yes, I think now I can. Okay, that's that for this side for now. Over here. This here, the magneto, needs to have a gap between that and the magnet. That gap should be. So what I'm on about is this bit here. There needs to be a gap between this and this of a certain amount, not too, obviously it's too close, going to hit it, it's too far away, it won't be able to generate enough power in here to make a spark up here. I suppose you want it as close as possible without touching. Be nice to get the handle on, wouldn't it? So this here is obviously the rear handle and the fuel tank. The fuel tank filler there. That's fuel line I was going to replace, but it looks okay. So, put that in loosely for now, just so I can tidy that lead out of the way. Now that one had this rubber bung. Okay. What else we got? Exhaust gasket. Put that in there. Okay, that is there. Must go on there. No, I think this was the reverse thread, isn't it? Yep, there we go. I think it's about time then I figured out the carburetor. I've got no recollection at all. That block's going on there somehow. Yeah, so it goes on like that. I'm sure there was more to that. Anyway, let's try and get this on. That's on. Excellent. So the carburetor is in. I don't seem to have any linkage at all right up to that, which is a bit peculiar. There's a little bit of wire that's missing there. Got the choke actuator to go there. Oh, Christ, where did that come from? Yeah, that's a mystery. That's bollocks. That needs to sit in there, which means this got to come back out again. So I'm going to take the gasket off. Now, it's got to go in. Rubbery thing is just a bit of heat insulation, I think, between this in there and the carb. Really should. Yeah, that's incorporate. Okay, so this bit next. Good, well, that looks about right. That's good. Okay, need a little one going there. That should be fairly obvious. Now, I'm a bit annoyed about losing the accelerator actuator, but something doesn't seem to be about. Make sure the chain's the right way around. If you think it's impossible to put the chain on the wrong way around, I've seen it done. Okay, so that's going correctly. Which means I'll put this one. Nearly there then. Of course, what's missing is the linkage that goes from here to here, which is completely essential. Well, I suppose as are all the bits. I need to find out where this rubber boot's supposed to be. I'll probably put it back on. Hopefully not too deep inside. And I've got 2 leftover screws, which is slightly concerning. Just about done for the day, but I have, just by looking at it, I've found places for the rest of what's in here. So we need a screw to go in there, I think is this one. Good, and then the last screw, I remembered it goes on here, which I think is a plug for the oil. And I even remembered where this went, which is in here. That obviously goes on there. And then the only other thing left in the tray is this washer. Now the only thing I can think of for this washer is it goes behind the clutch. That's the only place I can think it's big enough to put it, which is a bit annoying because that's hidden under all of this. I remember it's a reverse thread this time. Okay, so it doesn't seem to engage at the bottom very well. Now I put this little drive cog in place, drive gear rather. That's castellated at the top, which engages with there, so that means that doesn't go between those. It might go there, yeah, there we go. Mystery solved. So it sits in there perfectly. So that's good. That's that one. Everything in the tray and in the box has all been used, so I've got no leftover pieces, which is very good. Right, that's it for today. I'm going to look up and see what this bit looks like. I'm pretty sure it's disappeared. I've actually swept the floor for the first time in months, so yeah. The next day, and I've just come to terms with the fact that I'm going to have to make a linkage. So I did look it up, and it's literally just a wiggly bit of wire that goes from here, which is the trigger part, over to here, the carburetor part. About 10 quid. But out of stock everywhere, except for, well, the only place I found it was America, so that would be another epic wait. I've had a good look around as well, but of course, just being a wiggly bit of wire, it's vanished somewhere in the workshop where there are many wiggly bits of wire. This is TIG welding filler rod, which fits in the carburetor side quite well, but I think won't fit in there very well. Conversely, this is a bit of welding rod, arc welding rod. Now this is going to be quite soft, but this fits in this bit. That will lock in there quite well. Yeah, so that will clip in that end. I'm going to have to bend it in a sort of... well, we'll just see. So what I'll do first, because this electrode is too fat to sit in this bit of the carburetor, I'll just sand down the last, I don't know, 10 mil or so until it fits. It's got to allow for this to sit in here as well. It's going to have to dip in that way, I think. That goes there. Nothing. Yeah. It's quite a complicated shape, this wiggly bit of wire. Hold that there. Fold that one in. That, I think, is it. I think I've got the geometry to work. Yeah. So full throttle, it's pinned up there, and when I let go it sits on the adjustment screw there. Well, that's splendid. If that works, which it does seem to be working, not only have I saved myself £10, but more importantly another epic weight. Let's put this on. double check my fuel. So if this is pre-mixed, which I think it is, it should be green in colour. Yeah. Good. And because it's all bone dry, I will pour some oil on the bar so I can prelude the chain as well. Alright, let's head outside and try and fire it up. There's a bit on there to get started. Fuel on, choke out, ignition on. Let's see what happens. Well, good and bad. Obviously the good is it runs, but as you saw there, that linkage is immediately fallen off. So yeah, I had no throttle control. Back in the workshop. Well, it ran, and I have to say I'm chuffed to bits with that, just getting that far. But yes, the linkage did not do very well. Camera hold here, it's down there. What I need to do then is to get this, so the tapered end is fine, and I mean there's no way of locking that in there, but the other end, this end here, I'm just thinking if I can try and upset it over a bit, give it something that's a bit like a nail head, then it would lock in there. Just going to move it around in the jaws of these pliers, because I would have clamped it to sort of be a bit squarish in the vise. So this does have to rotate a little bit. That should be it. It goes there. Yeah, that goes there. There we go. Okay, we'll have another trial run, and if it works this time, we'll cut some wood, see how it works under load, because that will be the main test. I'll be able to tell under load if the new piston, and all the cleaning I've done, has made it stronger, and it should have done. Excellent. Absolutely flipping excellent. As you can see, it's not a massive piece of ash, but it's a substantial piece. Flew for it like it wasn't there. Well, as you can probably tell, I'm chuffed to bits with that result. I took something that was barely running, if at all, and it's transformed now. It's practically a new saw, well, apart from all the old bits. So that's the first time I've ever stripped down a chainsaw or any two-stroke engine like this right the way down and built it back up again, and hopefully you could see it's not a complicated machine, it's not a complicated process, and the times I did get stuck, there's always the internet to fire some questions at. So this definitely wasn't a how-to video, but hopefully I've inspired someone out there to have a go. Anyway, I'm going to go and get the rest of my safety kit on and actually tackle some of this massive pile of firewood. I'll see you next time. Cheers!